It starts deep in a barren desert, where a lonely boy staggers across the sand, chewing on a human finger while calling for his mother. Not far away, a car cruises along a road that suddenly stops in the middle of nowhere. The driver steps out and begins walking. His name is Wyndham, a photographer who came to capture the rare solar eclipse. After snapping a few shots and noticing nightfall drawing near, he heads back, only to come across a strange boy who looks lost and uneasy. Wyndham offers help, but the child resists. Instead, he gestures toward the horizon where he claims to have lost his parents, then walks away. Hoping to guide him, Wyndham follows, but the boy sharply rejects his presence and disappears into the fading light. Left stranded with no clear path back, Wyndham prepares to spend the night under the stars. Restless, he replays the day's events in his mind. Suddenly, eerie sounds float across the desert air. A woman wanders outside, humming softly. Wyndham calls out for help, but she slips inside as if she hasn't heard. He finds an iron ladder leading down and begins his descent. Midway, the structure changes into a crude rope ladder. Determined, Wyndham climbs down and reaches the house. He knocks several times. No response. Finally, he opens the door himself. Inside, the woman calmly greets him at the stove, as though she has been expecting him. She sets a bowl of soup before him, despite his polite refusal. Wyndham thanks her but keeps asking about the way back to civilization. He mentions the boy he met and requests water. The woman, who introduces herself as Alina, advises him to rest until sunrise. Reluctantly, Wyndham accepts. He lies on the bed she offers, observing her quiet beauty as she prepares for the night. At dawn, he gathers his belongings and steps outside, hoping to climb back up. Strangely, the rope ladder is gone, leaving no way to reach the upper canyon. He returns to the house, takes out his camera, and photographs the gloomy carvings etched into the canyon walls, symbols that remind him of death. Outside, he notices Alina repairing the roof and asks about the vanished ladder. She either doesn't understand or chooses not to answer. Her vague words hint at others living nearby, but she refuses to explain further. Frustrated, Wyndham searches the canyon, shouting for help, but hears nothing in return. That night, unable to sleep, he searches again for an escape, but finds none. The next morning, he discovers a hammer in the house and tries to climb the rock wall himself. Suddenly, he notices movement above, and a dead chicken drops beside him, startling him into a fall. He wakes in pain, his leg badly pierced by the hammer. Alina rushes to his side, but avoids answering his desperate questions about the children he swears he saw watching from the cliff. Days blur together as he slips in and out of fever, uncertain whether the children are real or only visions brought by his suffering. Eventually, his strength returns. Limping, he confronts Alina, demanding she call the children above to help him escape. She only shakes her head, pretending not to understand, and calmly offers him a different choice: stay with her, where she promises comfort and care, forever. But Wyndham wants none of this. His only desire is to return to his life and his work. He shoves Alina aside, refusing her comfort. Looking down, he realizes his injured leg won't recover quickly. It may be weeks before he can walk normally again. Suddenly, he hears voices from above. Looking up, he spots the same boy, now with a little girl at his side. They call down cheerfully, asking if he needs help. When Wyndham pleads to be pulled out, the boy promises to fetch a rope and a winch. But before leaving, he oddly asks Wyndham about his favorite color. Wyndham, impatient, blurts out that it's red and begs them to hurry. The children leave, and Wyndham checks the wallet in his pocket, deciding not to waste time gathering anything else. Soon, a rope drops down, and the boy urges him to tie himself securely. Wyndham does as instructed, clinging to hope as the rope begins to rise. Relief fills him. Freedom is near. But halfway up, the rope suddenly jerks to a stop. Suspended in midair, Wyndham panics, shouting for them to keep pulling. Exhausted, he tries to climb on his own, but his strength fails, and he hangs helplessly under the blazing sun. He eventually regains consciousness as cool drops hit his face. Looking up, he sees the boy spraying him with a hose, laughing at his misery. More children gather above, some barely older than toddlers, others teenagers. Their mismatched clothing clearly comes from other people, and their behavior is mocking, almost cruel. They taunt Wyndham, swinging the rope violently so he smashes against the canyon walls. In desperation, he cries out for Alina. From below, he sees her waving and scolding the children, before he blacks out from another blow. That night, Wyndham awakens in bed, his body aching. He tries to rise immediately, desperate to escape, but Alina doesn't understand his urgency. He insists, but she gently explains that the children are orphans, living together in the desert with no one else to guide them. While they speak, neither notices that the same children are watching from the cliffside, staring at the glowing windows of the house. The next morning, Wyndham watches as Alina releases a bird, envying its freedom. She later brings him clean clothes, though he hadn't asked. Her kindness touches him. Days turn into weeks. Wyndham even begins planting a small garden near the canyon floor. From time to time, the children return, tossing down food and random objects, items that seem impossible to have found in the empty desert. He is baffled by their strange mix of generosity and cruelty, but Alina accepts it quietly, as if this is simply the way things are. Slowly, Wyndham finds himself helping with the household, surprised by Alina's calm strength. One evening, he tries to question her more seriously, but the sound of shouting interrupts them. Alina warns him not to go outside when the children act like that, but Wyndham ignores her and rushes into the night. There he finds the boys in bizarre outfits, circling the house like predators. They mock him, shove him, even strike him, before scattering back into the shadows. Shaken, Wyndham demands answers from Alina. Who are these children? Why do they linger here? And why does she remain in such a cursed place? But Alina, steady as ever, offers no clear answer. Only silence, as though she refuses to admit she too is trapped. That night, Alina comes to Wyndham. Lonely and craving affection, he does not resist her presence. Days pass, and soon the first green shoots push through in Wyndham's little garden. One afternoon, the boy with the cap calls down from above, acting cheerful and promising to bring him a bottle of soda. Wyndham goes back to his plants, but while digging in the soil, he unexpectedly uncovers a wedding ring and a pair of car keys buried in the sand. That evening, Alina shows him a portrait of a woman. Calling her the first mother, she quietly reveals that she is carrying his child. Shocked, Wyndham refuses to believe it. He never planned to raise children here, especially not with someone he barely knows. He shouts in anger, but realizes he has little choice but to live with the news. The following morning, Wyndham discovers that birds have ruined his small garden. Alina, however, helps him replant without complaint, which softens his frustration. Over time, life in the house settles into a rhythm. Alina keeps the household running, while Wyndham exercises and slowly strengthens his injured leg. Eventually, the boy in the cap returns. Curious and talkative, he asks Wyndham countless questions. Wyndham in turn asks the boy to help Alina, explaining that she will soon need a doctor. He also requests a rope and something heavy to use as a counterweight, secretly planning to escape the canyon and take both Alina and the boy to the city. The boy agrees, whispering that he will try once everyone is asleep, but before long, an older youth appears and drags him away. Later, Wyndham tells Alina that the boy is bright, different from the others, and wants to build a better life. He insists he wants to help them both, but Alina reacts oddly, asking him what he truly lacks here. When Wyndham replies, "Freedom," she looks confused. In her eyes, nothing prevents him from doing what he wants, so what more could he possibly need? Wyndham begins describing the outside world, the endless ocean, and even something as simple as a cheeseburger. Alina doesn't recognize the word, so he explains the ingredients, making her curious. She admits her mother once claimed that illusions lie beyond the desert, but that here everything is real and solid. Wyndham then pulls out his camera, showing her the photographs he captured on the day he first arrived. She pays little attention to the eclipse, but is strangely fascinated by a casual shot taken in his car, with music playing faintly in the background. That night, Wyndham dreams restless nightmares of the children's distorted faces, laughing and taunting someone trapped. At dawn, Wyndham is startled by Alina's piercing scream from outside. Rushing into the yard, he freezes. The boy in the cap is suspended over the canyon, strung up with wires, while the wild children laugh from above. Alina suddenly insists that no true brother could have done this. In a fit of rage, she accuses Wyndham of murdering her son and smashes him on the head with a wooden plank. When he regains consciousness, Wyndham finds himself trapped inside a cage. He begs and pleads for release, but Alina refuses. She tosses him food like an animal, while her brood gathers to watch his misery. Days later, he spots a young girl on the cliff. She is clearly an outsider, not part of this place. Wyndham carefully calls to her in whispers, terrified of waking Alina. Desperate, he begs her to find help. The girl nods, assures him she will return, and disappears. Wyndham clings to hope, hiding his excitement as he spies on Alina, now heavily pregnant, tending her daily tasks. But his hope dies when shrill cries echo across the canyon. He looks up just in time to see the savage children capture the girl. They drag her to the edge and slaughter her before his horrified eyes. Time crawls on. Still caged, Wyndham is forced to witness grotesque ceremonies carried out by Alina, her children, and the wild youths above. Eventually, in a moment of weakness, Wyndham tells Alina that he accepts his fate. He declares he will remain with her forever, raise the child as his own, and make her his queen. He promises to give everything he has left. But at the mention of choice, Alina laughs coldly. He never had a choice, she explains. He was nothing but a wanderer blown here by chance. The child she carries is hers alone. Wyndham will rot in the cage until her baby is born. After that, nothing in the desert is wasted. Finally, the birth arrives. Alina screams inside while Wyndham paces helplessly in the cage. At last, she staggers to him, begging for help, saying the labor is harder than anything she has faced. She frees him, and Wyndham does what he can to ease her agony. The children loom on the cliff, silently watching. Suddenly, a ladder drops from above, but Alina's cries hold Wyndham in place. The baby comes into the world at the very moment of the solar eclipse. Wyndham lifts the newborn girl, kissing her tenderly, overwhelmed with joy. Alina begs for the child. Once in her arms, she vows to nourish and protect the girl until she grows strong enough to take her place as the next mother. Wyndham has already fulfilled his purpose. At that instant, the boy creeps behind Wyndham and slashes his throat. As the man collapses, the boy whispers that it is for the mother. Later, Alina carefully packs Wyndham's belongings into a chest before turning back to the infant, assuring her everything will be fine. Meanwhile, Wyndham's body lies in the yard, breaking down into soil, sprouting grass, and returning to dust. This is where the strange and haunting tale comes to an end.